Welcome to WineWire, folks. I'm Nelson, this is Adam, and this is the place that you're going to discover all the wines that you find in restaurants that you never find in stores.
That's right. Today we have a very special show. We are lighting off some French sparklers today.
Yeah.
We have 3 sparkling wines from France, one from the well-known region of Champagne, but 2 from perhaps lesser-known regions, one from Alsace and one from Loire Valley, specifically the region of Vouvray. Now, before we go any further, we are going to teach you a very, very tricky skill. How to properly open a champagne or a sparkling wine bottle without killing yourself or somebody else. Nelson will demonstrate. Nelson, please.
Thank you very much, Adam. Folks, it's actually quite simple. Your champagne bottle always comes with a massive wrap around the neck, and basically you just take the top half of that wrapper off, or the complete thing, but I always like the presentation piece to stay on the bottle.
Of course.
And at this point, you got to grasp the cork, and you start twisting the cage off here. And the most important thing is to do what Adam never does: is you hold on to it. You really don't have to take the cage off before you get the cork out of the bottle.
I'm more of a thumb flipper, like just kind of holding it like a F1 guy and flipping it right off, trying to kill something.
Because at this point, it's not properly sealed, and there's a lot of pressure, a lot of atmospheric pressure in this bottle, and it could just fly at any one point in time. So
absolutely.
Basically, you tilt it to its side, and the pressure inside the bottle will push the cork out, and voila.
There you go, and it looks like
Never
it's
take your hand off the cork.
Yes, I've learned the hard way. Nearly shot my brother in the head with a champagne cork a couple years ago.
Well.
All right, so what are we tasting first, my friend?
So the first wine we're tasting, this champagne, is a single grower champagne, and what that means is that all of the grapes that are that go into this wine are from this producer's estate, 100%. It's Tarlon is the house, Champagne Tarlon, and it is a Brut Zero, which means when they remove the yeast that performs a secondary fermentation inside the bottle to produce all those wonderful bubbles, they top up the wine before they seal it for commercial reasons, and they don't add a lot of extra sweetness to it to balance out the real acidic nature of the juice. Now, this wine is made from the traditional 3 varieties in Champagne: Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier, and Pinot Noir, and it rests on the lees, or before they take that yeast out of the bottle, that yeast sits in the bottle for over 4 years, which is a long time, and
absolutely
way past the what the regulations say they have to.
Minimum 15 months for non-vintage.
So we're way past 4 years here. It's manually disgorged, so it's a really artisanally old style made wine, and it's $54.95, which is well below a lot of the standard huge commercial champagne labels that you'll come to recognize.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's it saying here?
This is, to my mind, classic champagne. The big calling card for me is those bready, yeasty, biscuity notes underlined with a bunch of lemon and fresh apple. This is a characteristically beautifully made wine from Champagne. I'm getting all of those notes: the fresh apple, the lemon, but really that strong biscuit and yeasty notes that I love from Champagne.
Yeah, this wine is not a vintage Champagne, and it shows so much aging characteristics. Champagne is usually a blend of a bunch of different wines that they've stored and they blend to make in their sort of signature house style. And this has got a lot of beautiful, softer characteristics, more aged characteristics. I would say more like drier fruit and maybe even some baked fruit characteristics in here that make it extremely complex and give it a really kind of its own personality.
It's got a lot of freshness still. There's still a lot of acidity here. It is a fantastic food wine. Like this, hands down, all the wines we're going to taste today are meant to be drunk with food, not just for celebration.
Beautiful foam mousse on the mouth when it initially goes in, and then it subsides with beautiful minerality. It's extremely well balanced. There's those layers of fresh and developed fruit in there, and the minerality and the aged characteristics that we pick up. It's
But
It's what you expect.
this is a romantic wine, no matter how you cut it. You like that? I'm telling you, it is.
Don't look at me like that when you say
It's
that.
lovely. It's lovely. It has got everything that I'm expecting in it, and I'm a big fan. But I think we should move on to the second one, because I think that the next one should be quite impressive.
You know what? The fact that it's a single grower product and it's only $54.95 really turns me on.
Perfect. This is the J.M. Scholler Crémant d'Alsace. Now, it is a Blanc de Blanc, which means it's entirely made from a white grape. In this case, it's 100% made from Pinot Blanc, which is a grape that has a life of its own in still wines in Alsace, but makes really engaging sparkling wine as well. This wine is $24.80, so we've come down almost half the price of the champagne, but again, an amazing value. Crémant is just the word that the French use to describe sparkling wines made in the same traditional method as they do in Champagne outside of that region. So anytime you see a sparkling wine from Burgundy, from Bordeaux, from Alsace, from the Loire Valley that we're going to taste next, it's generally termed as a Crémant. This comes from a very small family-run vineyard. Really, they make about 400 cases of this Crémant per year. It is a vintage Crémant, which means that all the grapes that went into this actually came from one vintage. This one's a 2007. Yeah, so how do you think of the on the nose so far?
You know what? I love it. It's got beautiful ripe. I want to say white peach and apple, and there's a really distinct mineral characteristic here in this wine. On the palate, it's so round. Very juicy, a lot of apple, a lot of very fruit driven, where the last wine you had a lot of these secondary fermentation characteristics. This one is so much fruit forward, and boy, the minerality really shows here on the palate. It's beautiful. It's such a nice drinking wine.
This is, for my mind, fresh. That's the word that comes to my mind as soon as I taste it. It has it's all about the youthfulness of this wine. I mean, there's lots of acidity on the palate. There's a lot, as you said, the fruit drives itself into the palate as well. This is a very approachable wine, and you know something. There's a story behind this as well. I mean, the fruit that these guys are producing is top quality, and the fact that you're able to get this particular product for under $25 a bottle really is an incredible value. Like,
which is only $10 more than you'd pay for, you know, any entry level sparkling wine. So I mean, what's holding you back, really?
You know, I think the message we're trying to get across here is there are some great sparkling wines that are not made in Champagne, but in other places in France. This one is one of those wines.
Wow, I think oysters right away, and you know what? The palate just carries and carries. The length is fantastic. What a beautiful wine.
Absolutely. One thing I would add, sushi. Try with sushi. Fantastic.
Sure.
All right, the last wine. What we got going on here, my friend?
The last wine is a sparkling Vouvray. We're in the Loire right now, and we are talking about another, you know, legendary sort of grape that for some reason isn't out there in the forefront of most consumers' minds. Domaine Gautier produces this Vouvray. It's brut, so again, it is on the drier side, and this is a really old estate. 1669, it was established, passed on family after family after family as a single estate to its current owners. And Benoit
Gautier, of course.
Thank you very much.
You're wrong.
And since 1981, they stopped selling a lot of the grapes that they produce and bottling it as their own signature product.
Absolutely.
100% Chenin Blanc, and it's $23.76. Adam, what's this wine saying to you, man?
Well, this is a much lusher wine. There's a lot of richness here. You're getting a lot of baked fruit and dried fruit. So baked apple, dried apricots. There's a lot more going on. It's more fragrant. You are getting a little touch of those kind of yeasty notes, but really this is more baked fruit, dried fruit on the nose. I mean, it's quite pleasant, almost fragrant.
I mean, you almost get the volume on the palate that you got in the Tarlon Champagne. And you know what? It's a little less demanding on the palate than the Champagne, a little more demanding than then I would say the Solar. But again, those secondary fermentation characteristics blend in so nicely with that what you described as dried fruit component. Really big and round on the palate. Again, these all have beautiful long finishes, and there's a signature Chenin Blanc touch of florality in here that gives me a little candy floss on the nose. And
florality?
Florality.
I'm not sure if that's a word.
It is in my book.
All right, perfect.
And when it comes to wine, there is no book. So
absolutely.
Look, it's wow, even a little cheaper than the last one. I mean, these are super value wines. I can't say enough. These are amazing. Yeah,
I think this is great. I think the key thing for me is definitely this is a more developed wine. It's showing notes that it tells a story about this wine. There's a little bit of age to it. It is beautifully integrated into the body of the wine in terms of those big flavors, but definitely much more developed than the Crème d'Alsace that we taste.
And stylistically, probably not your salty seafood wine.
No.
You know, you're getting more into the savory stuff. I would love to have a dish of maybe some seared scallops on a nice risotto or something like that. Would be amazing with this wine. So.
All right.
Anyway,
let's throw it down.
They're all drink now wines. They're all completely individually beautiful and different, and they're all from France. That is amazing. So where are we going, man?
We're throwing it down.
We're throwing it down.
I'm going to let you pick first because I picked last time.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with this guy right here, right in front of me. I was really impressed.
You're making up words all over the place.
There we go. Really impressed with the value here and with the complexity and the drinkability and the versatility of this wine. Absolutely beautiful. That is my pick. Does it come in 6-packs? Do you know?
I believe it comes in 12s.
Comes in 12s.
Yes.
Eh? I'm okay with that. I can drink this over the next year.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful wine.
And as always, I am going to pick the most expensive wine. Why? Why, Nelson?
Because you're high maintenance.
That's right. The reason, that's not just the only reason. The Tarlon Zero Brut, for me, is everything that Champagne is supposed to be. That beautiful, wonderful acidity, the great yeasty and biscuity notes there. Just a beautifully made wine. And quite frankly, even at $54, just under $55, still a great value for Champagne. You go and you take a look at other Champagnes. They start at $75 and go up. This one is going to give you everything that those wines have, plus a little bit more, because I think there's a little more care in producing it, and give it to you for 2/3 the price. So that's my pick, the Tarlon Zero Brut.
Equally impressed. I am equally impressed. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. Look at the links to these wines and get more information on them right below this screen. The agents are happy to send these wines directly to your door. You have to order them by the case. And we'd love for you to talk about these wines and this show right below this screen. Join in the conversation and have some fun with us.
Absolutely. Remember to follow us on Twitter at WineWireCA and check us out on Facebook. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for coming by this time. We will see you in a couple days with a new show. And got any last words or just goodbye?
Salut.
All right. Take it easy.